Welcome to the Explainer. All right, today we're going to talk about something that's, well, a little mysterious, but also super common. Talking in your sleep.
So have you ever had this happen? You wake up and your partner or roommate is just staring at you. And then they say it. You were talking in your sleep again. It's such a weird feeling, right? To find out you were having a whole conversation that you don't remember at all.
And if your first thought is that jolt of pure panic, like, oh no, what did I say? You are so not alone. That's pretty much the number one fear for anyone who finds out they're a sleep talker.
Okay, so let's just get this out of the way right now. According to experts like Deirdre Barrett from Harvard, what you say in your sleep is not some kind of truth serum, so you can relax. Your secret love for that cheesy 90s boy band, yeah, it's probably still safe.
Okay, so if we're not spilling our deepest, darkest secrets, then what in the world is going on? Let's break down what this thing actually is. It even has a fancy scientific name, somniloquy.
So somniloquy is what's known as a parasomnia. And that's really just a catch-all term for any kind of weird or abnormal thing we do while we're asleep. It puts sleep talking in the same category as things like sleepwalking, night terrors, even grinding your teeth.
So how common is this? Well, you might be surprised. It's incredibly common. Research shows that a whopping 66% of people have talked in their sleep at least once. That's almost 2/3 of us. So if you've done it, you're actually in the majority here.
What's really interesting, though, is that it's way more common when we're kids. I mean, about half of all children do it. But then, as we get older, that number drops off a cliff. Only about 17% of adults say they've done it in the last few months. So that begs the question, right? Why is it so common, especially with kids? Well, to figure that out, we've got to look at what's actually happening inside our brains. And trust me, the science behind our little nighttime chats is really cool.
Okay, get this. Sleep talking can happen in any stage of sleep, but what comes out is totally different. During that deep, dreamless NREM sleep, it's more like a partial awakening. Parts of your brain kind of flicker on for a second, and you get some simple mumbling. But during REM sleep, when you're dreaming and your body is supposed to be paralyzed, sleep talking is what's called a motor breakthrough. It's like the words from your dream literally break through that paralysis. Wild, right? And again, before you get too worried about those complex dream monologues, you should know this. One study found that about half of all sleep talking is just complete gibberish. Mumbling, weird sounds, totally incomprehensible stuff. But when we can understand it, things get really interesting. The language we use, well, it actually follows normal grammar rules, which is kind of weird. But here's the kicker. It's often a lot more negative and even profane than how we talk when we're awake. In fact, the single most common word spoken during sleep is no. It seems like our sleeping brains are busy sorting through conflicts and anxieties from the day. Okay, so if our brains are working through conflict at night, that leads to the next logical question. What actually triggers these late-night chats? And why do some of us do it all the time while others never do? Well, the honest answer is that the exact reason is still a bit of a mystery. But researchers have pinpointed a bunch of potential triggers. For one, it can be genetic. Yep, if your parents did it, you're more likely to do it too. But other big ones are things you might expect. Stress, anxiety, not getting enough sleep, drinking alcohol, even having a high fever can set it off. Basically, it's often a sign that your brain is just overloaded from a stressful day. So look, while talking in your sleep is almost always harmless for the person doing it, it can be a huge pain for anyone trying to sleep in the same room. So whether you're the talker or the listener, what can you actually do about it? First things first, let's be super clear. The act of sleep talking itself is rarely harmful. It doesn't really mess with your sleep quality unless, it's part of a bigger sleep disorder. The main problem, 99% of the time, is just the disturbance it causes for everyone else. All right, so if you're the talker, your best bet is to work on what's called sleep hygiene. Basically, these weird sleep behaviors often pop up when our sleep is unstable. So creating a solid routine can really help. We're talking about a consistent bedtime, cutting out caffeine in the evening, and this is a big one, putting your phone away and winding down before bed. It's all about signaling to your brain that it's time to shut down properly. Now, what if you're the one who has to listen to all this? Well, don't worry, there are some simple things that can be a total game changer. Earplugs, a white noise machine,
even just a fan can help drown out the noise. And hey, if your partner says something weird or even hurtful, try not to let it get to you. The best thing to do is just talk about it in the morning, and remember, it almost certainly came from some bizarre dream, not from reality.
So, at the end of the day, sleep talking isn't really about spilling secrets. It's more about, well, it's just plain fascinating, isn't it? It's this weird, mumbled little window into what our brains are doing when we're checked out. And that kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. What if all these nighttime ramblings aren't just random noise? What if it's the actual sound of our brains, hard at work, sorting through our memories and emotions from the day?